Jaya Radha Madhava Kunya Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunya Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Kevaradari Gopijana Vallabha Kevaradari Yasodananda Yasodananda Vajajananda Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Damadava Kunya Bihari Jaya Damadava Kunya Bihari. Today we will be reading from the first canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 7, The Son of Drona are Punished, text 23. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Vamadhya Purusa Saksat Ishvara Prakriti Paraha Mayam Vyudasya Sikshatya Kaivalye Stita Atmani. Word for word translation. Vamadhya, you are the original. Purusaha, the enjoying personality. Saksat, directly. Ishvaraha, the controller. Prakriti, of material nature. Paraha, transcendental. Mayam, the material energy. Yudasya, one who has thrown aside. Saktya, by dint of the internal potency. Kaivalye, impure eternal knowledge and bliss. Stitaha, placed. Atmani, own self. Translation and purport by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. You are the original personality of God who expands himself all over the creations and is transcendental to the material energy. You have cast away the effects of the material energy by dint of your spiritual knowledge. You are always situated in eternal bliss and transcendental knowledge. So this is Arjuna praying to Krishna. Now we hear the purport. The Lord states in the Bhagavad Gita that one who surrenders unto the lotus feet of the Lord can get release from the clutches of nations. Krishna is like the sun, and Maya, or material existence, is just like darkness. Wherever there is the light of the sun, darkness or ignorance at once is punished. The best means to get out of the world of ignorance is suggested here. The Lord is addressed herein as the original personality of Godhead. From him, all other personalities of Godhead expand. The all-pervasive Lord Vishnu is Lord Krishna's plenary portion or expansion. The Lord expands himself in innumerable forms of Godhead and living beings, along with his different energies. But Sri Krishna is the original primeval Lord for whom everything emanates. The all-pervasive feature of the Lord experienced within the manifested world is also a partial representation of the Lord. Paramatma, therefore, is included within him. He is the absolute personality of Godhead. He has nothing to do with the actions and reactions of the material manifestation, because he is far above the material creation. So darkness is a perverse representation of the sun, and therefore the existence of darkness depends on the existence of the sun. But in the sun proper, there is no trace of darkness. As the sun is full of light, only similarly the absolute personality of Godhead beyond the material existence is full of bliss. He is not only full of bliss, but also full of transcendental variegatedness. Transcendence is not at all static, but full of dynamic variegatedness. He is distinct from the material nature, which is complicated by the three modes of material nature. He is Parama, or the chief. Therefore, he is absolute. He has manifold energies, and through his diverse energies, he creates, manifests, maintains, and destroys the material world in his own abode. However, everything is eternal and absolute. The world is not conducted by the energies of or powerful agents by themselves, but by the potent, all-powerful with all energies. Read the verse once again. Pramadya Purusha Saksat Ishvara Prakrite Paraha Mayam Vyudasya Sit Shaktya Kaivalye Stita Atmani. You are the original personality of God who expands himself all over the creations and is transcendental to the material energy. You have cast away the effects of the material energy by dint of your spiritual potency. You are always situated in eternal bliss and transcendental knowledge. Omagana timundasya jansana slekta Saksur unmilitam yena tasmai sigove nama. Chichitayamanupstam staptam yena vitbhutale svamapakadamyam dadati svapadantikam. Vandeham shiru shiyuda padakam nam shirum vaishnavam sha. Shirupam jagajatam saganaragnatam vitam tam sajivam satvaitam savadutam parijana sukrishna devam. Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sakanalita Shivshakam Vitamsa. Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Chatpate Gopesha Koprakanta Radha Kanta Namastate. Tapta Kansana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhana Sutta Devi Pranamama Haripriye. Vanka Kalpta Visha Kripa Sinabhivisa Patnam Pavanabhyo Vaishnabhyo Namo Namah. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavanam. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Jai. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Pastaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Tinamani Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharani Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Vaskachai Desatarani. So Lord Krishna is praying to, Arjuna is praying to Lord Krishna because Ashvatam has released the Brahmastra, a nuclear weapon which was directed to destroy Arjuna. And that so he's praying to Krishna here to solve the issue, but first he's glorifying Krishna, and he establishes here Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that is very important. He has accepted Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. What does it mean, accepting Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead? That Krishna says, Sarvadhamam Pajyamam Kam Sarvacham, Tam Sarvabhyamoksisham Machacha. You surrender unto me, you follow my instructions. So, surrender, it means accepting Krishna as Supreme Personality of God. It means that you are ready to follow his instructions in Bhagavad Gita. And Arjuna has accepted Krishna as Supreme Personality of Godhead. In Bhagavad Gita, he accepted him as his spiritual master first, and then later in the 8th and the 10th chapter, he prays to the Supreme Lord and glorifies him as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We see here Ashvatam, he became quite frustrated at the end of this war, Battle of Kurukshetra. Ashvatam, the son of Dronacharya, and his nephews, many of them were killed. And out of retaliation, he killed the sons of the Pandavas. So that's heavy. These Pandavas are Lord Krishna's most intimate associates, his pure devotees. And still they have to undergo such a tribulation that and now Ashvatam is trying to kill Arjuna himself. So Ashvatam acted against the principles of religion. And he knew that. And he was at the end of his endeavors to escape. There was no escape anymore. So in his last, at the last moment, he used his Brahmastra weapon. Of course, he learned from Dronacharya how to create his Brahmastra weapon, but his knowledge was incomplete because he did not know how, after creating it, how to control the Brahmastra weapon or to retract it. So how to deal with all these disturbances? If we think that after becoming a devotee of Krishna, there will be no disturbance anymore, then that's a wrong expectation. We see the Pandavas with that see so many. Die optie is Sint-Brigidabron op het adres. We see so many other examples of devotees where to endure and tolerate so many things. Prahlad Maharaj, his father tried to kill him, so many disturbances. So how to deal with all these disturbances? That the first instruction in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Matras Pastrantya Situshnashika Dogadagamapi Nityas. You have to tolerate this, to tolerate all the disturbances and become a dhira, like the heat in the summer and the cold in the winter, and one has to learn to tolerate. And yeah, Yamina Vyatantante Purusham Purushakshava Agamapi Ninatya Stanstik Susvavarta. When you can tolerate this happiness and distress, Arjun, then you are ready for liberation. So the purpose is for us to transcend the modes of nature. That to transcend these modes of nature, we must learn to tolerate that, to tolerate happiness and distress, not be enticed by the opportunities or attracted to opportunities for sense gratification. And distress, just tolerate it. That because it is the body and the mind who endures, who feels this distress, that and we must tolerate it. We are not the mind. That, but when we identify with the mind, we identify with the pain of the body. But by engaging in devotional service, we concentrate on Krishna and our service. That and happiness or distress, a devotee sees it as a mercy of Krishna. And that is how to deal with happiness and distress. Tattena kampam sumikshana bunchatma ivatma ritvakva vorbev vidadama stage ivetya mukti padev sadayabak. Tattena kampam sumikshana bunchatma ivatma ridach vivakam. So we must tolerate, Lord, the Bhagavatam teaches us, and see all this distress as a reaction of our past misdeeds. The fault lies in us, and we tolerate it. And when you tolerate it and you pray to Krishna, you should, in the Bhagavatam, shows us how to pray to Krishna in case of distress and problems. We pray to Krishna, yes, I'm undergoing this distress, and it's very good, Krishna, because it's a reaction of my past misdeeds, and I'm happy that I can pay for it. But you gave me only a little token, and therefore I'm very thankful for you that that's so recognizing the fault lies in us. And then the verse said, then you have the right to be liberated. So then we are suffering to never suffer again. That's beautiful. Suffer to never suffer again. So Ashvatham acted against the principles of religion, that he killed the sons of the Pandavas, and they were without any protection because they were sleeping, they could not defend themselves. And that's against religious principles. So how to deal with such disturbances? In the Vedic system, it was managed according also how to deal with it according to the religious principles. What does religious principle mean? Religious principle means accepting the laws of God, the laws of the Supreme Lord, the laws which are controlling this universe. Scientists today, they see the laws of nature, and that the laws of nature are controlling the universe. But theism, those who believe in the Supreme Personality of Godhead or in God, they see that there are so many laws of the universe, and that they must cooperate with these laws. Understanding these laws of the universe are made by a supreme controller. So as mentioned in Bhagavad Gita, the Supreme Lord is the maintainer of all beings. That's mentioned in Bhagavad Gita, Bhuta Bhavana Bhuteshu. So to see this, that the Supreme Lord is the maintainer of all beings, you need to see the bigger picture. If you try to understand from your present point where you are, then it may seem unfair. Like, why do good people suffer and bad people, they are enjoying? Good question. You must see the big picture. Those who are good may have performed sinful activities, and those who are bad are and enjoying at the same time. They may have done some good activities before. That happens constantly. When one does good activities in previous life, one gets opportunities for enjoyment in the next life, and then one becomes sinful. And then they become bad because they are engaging in sinful activities. So then, why is Krishna, who is Bhutashu, the controller of all people, killing people? It's for their good. We should not see things from our tiny point of view. God has our best interest in mind, and therefore he does what he does. Even if Krishna seems to be violating religious principles, the topmost religious principle is to satisfy Krishna. And Krishna is not bound by the religious principles. He acts as he desires. So Krishna is asking Arjuna to kill, yes, that's the Bhagavad Gita is saying you should fight. But he asked Arjuna to kill Karna in an irreligious way. Karna his chariot got stuck on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. And Karna came out and tried to lift up his chariot, and lift up the wheel. Not at that moment, Krishna said to Arjuna, kill him. And he killed him. Normally, he should not have killed him, according to the religious codes. But Krishna said, kill him. He's a higher authority. Like Krishna asked Yudhishthira Maharaj to tell a lie. He wanted him to shout to Dronacharya, your son, he wanted him to shout that Ashvatam has died. It's his son Ashvatam, which are we now speaking about. And Yudhishthira was Dharmaraj. He did not want to do it. And so therefore at first Yudhishthira Maharaj refused, and as a result his chariot came down to the ground. Previously he had a facility that his chariot would not touch the ground because he was Dharmaraj. He, as a king, he was the personification of religious principles. His chariot came down because he hesitated to follow Krishna's instructions, because he was attached to mundane morality, not seeing that all these laws of the universe, they are under the direction of Krishna and for the purpose of satisfying Krishna. Here we see that there are rules not to kill a person, not to kill one who is insane, who is sleeping, who cannot protect themselves. And therefore, yes, Arjuna and Krishna were following his chariot. But then this Brahmastra appeared into the sky, and it was like going to devour the entire world. And we see Arjuna is surrendering to Krishna. He's praying first and glorifying its position. On a lecture of this verse, Srila Prabhupada said, yes, Arjuna is accepting Krishna as the authority. So we cannot see God, he said. It's not possible with these eyes, with these material eyes. Many people demand to let me see God. But are they qualified to see God? Do they have the eyes to see God? That they are not questioning, but they are demanding, let me see God. Sotra Swami used to tell a story, and he said there was a sadhu in India, and there was an American tourist with long hair, a hippie, and they were, and he was giving a lecture on how to perceive God. He was speaking about Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And this hippie challenged him and said, show me God, show me God. And he was disturbing the lecture. And the sadhu said, you come here. And the sadhu had a lota, and he smashed it on the head of this tourist here. And the tourist said, the tourist then later went to the court and brought this sadhu before the court. And while the sadhu and this tourist were both before the court, the tourist was complaining that explained what happened, and he said, I showed him, show me God. And then he asked me to come and smash this lota, its drinking pot, on my head, and blood came from my head. And I had pain. And then the sadhu replied and said, show me your pain, show me your pain, show me your pain. He could not show his pain. So yes, this is the lesson to be learned. Are we qualified to see? But Prabhupada makes in the lecture the point that yes, we can see the Supreme Lord by hearing from the Mahajans. So there are 12 Mahajans that beginning with Brahma, Narada, Vyasadeva, and so on. They are self-realized, and they know the absolute truth. They can see the truth, and through them we can see the Supreme Lord. We can accept the existence of the Supreme Lord. So Prabhupada says, here is God. Why don't you accept that? So there's no question of speculation about God. We cannot. We don't have the brains to do that. but accepting it through the authorities of these Mahjant, these great personalities that and follow their instructions. And then when you have faith in Krishna, you start to follow his instructions, you will realize the truthfulness of these instructions, because you will get a result which is predicted. And that result, to get over suffering, that's is described as Mamsyo Vabhacharina Bhaktiyorna Sevita Sagadan Samatichitam Brahma Bhuya Kalpate. One can transcend the three modes of nature by devotional service. If we come to the platform, to devotional service, and feel devotion for Krishna, then you have transcended the modes. Then you realize that you are not a body. You realize that you are not a body, that you are a servant of Krishna, and that you are eternal, and that you are misidentified with the body, and that this suffering and this stress, the experience of this suffering and this stress, is affecting you because you are identifying with the body. And that's a gradual realization, but once you feel the devotion, through the devotion you will realize Krishna in the heart. And that's also mentioned in the purport, that Arjuna knew Krishna is the soul of Brahman. Krishna said that in Bhagavad Gita, Brahmanai Pratishtanim, I'm the source of Brahman. And he is the source of Paramatma. So that Arjuna knew Krishna's position, and he took shelter of him, but it took always shelter. It's not that we have a good time, no distress, and then I'm going to take shelter of the Supreme Lord. No, we need to take shelter of the Supreme Lord in times when it goes good and when it goes bad, but bad for the body. So we have to learn to tolerate. And that distress comes in many ways. That distress of the body, that's distress coming from other living entities. Distress comes from nature. That's Adibhautika, Adhyatmika, Adidevika, Trika, and that's called in Sanskrit a threefold miseries. That miseries from the body, from other living entities, and miseries coming from nature, from the body, from everything that happens around us. And that will also always be there in the material world. When you become a devotee, that's not going to stop. But when we make advancement in devotion service, we will come to the point that, yes, that we transcend these modes, that we become undisturbed in the most disturbing situations. We don't feel this undisturbed in the most disturbing situations. And so that is the platform of Krishna consciousness. But therefore we have to tolerate. Tolerate means that we have to face the distress of this body. But we do our duty in Krishna consciousness. That sometimes is painful. You have to get up early and to take a bath even when it's cold. There's some suffering, but you have to tolerate that. We learn to tolerate, then we will not become subjected to the control of the senses and the control of the mind. And that by that we can overcome our weakness of heart, by that tolerating that. I saw our Guru Maharaj, he was traveling from one place to another. He would be sick, so many disturbances, but he would just tolerate, heavy to tolerate, but he did. And he fasted, mostly on Ekadashi, full fast. He tolerated that. And he told us, tolerating that does not come from one day to another. You have to learn to tolerate. It's like a weight lifter. He doesn't start with the heaviest weight. He builds up little by little. So we have to learn to tolerate. But tolerating is important. That like fasting on Ekadashi, that you have overeaten next day, you don't take breakfast. That's a good practice. That skip a meal when you have overeaten. That is a devotee, and that a devotee is austere. Because if you are not austere, you will be under control of the mind and the senses, and by this lust, you will be forced to do things you don't want to do. That was Arjuna's point also. And that's in Bhagavad Gita. Krishna says at the end, after the instruction to surrender, he tells Arjuna, you should preach, but you should not preach to those who are not austere, he says. That those who are not austere, they cannot understand the philosophy of Krishna consciousness. They cannot accept the Supreme Personality of Godhead, or make advancement in devotional service. So that austerity must be there. And that goes together with the philosophy, with the knowledge that yes, good or bad, it doesn't matter. I will take shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, not only if there is a problem, always following Krishna's instructions. That and tolerating all what we have to tolerate in this world is temporary. The so-called suffering will pass. And so-called happiness also. So being equal in happiness and distress, and when you become equal to that, then the mind cannot control you, the material mind. Because, yes, if you are equal to it, because the mind is accepting and rejecting things based on the body, based on it wants to accept things for that gives happiness and wants to stop things that gives disturbance. And that's how the mind controls you. But then that control of duality is not there anymore. Then you have if you are austere, you have the determination to engage your mind and sentence in the service of Krishna. Because, of course, austerity must be balanced. Too much austerity makes the heart hard. No, our austerity is to tolerate, learn to tolerate. It's not that we take pleasure in performing austerities. That's not the purpose. But so then, because when you try to preach to people who are not austere, they are not ready to accept Krishna's Supreme Personality of Godhead. Because if they accept the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then they have to follow his instructions. That and that they don't want, because they don't want to go through these austerities. So that's what Prabhupada, the points he was making also on this verse, that Arjuna was dedicated to Krishna and he knew Krishna's position very well. And that position, Krishna's position, we can learn from the Bhagavatam and from the Mahajans, those who are very advanced spiritually. And then at one time we will come to be equal in happiness and distress. And that, yeah, there are many examples in our movement that shows how they became happy and equal in happiness and distress. Like Sridhar Swami, when he was brought to Mayapur, he had a one-way flight to Mayapur. Came to Mayapur to leave his body. And they brought him from the airport in an ambulance. And he arrived, and I was there when he arrived. Thousands of devotees were waiting for him. And then later in his room, he collapsed, was unconscious for some time. And because he had a liver disease, his belly was swollen. And when he woke up, when he opened his eyes, a doctor was with his stethoscope on his belly, which was swollen. And when Sridhar Swami saw the doctor, he said, is it a boy or a girl? And everyone was laughing. So he didn't take the body so serious. That is an advanced devotee. That we can leave our body every moment, but yes, that is example of someone who has transcended these modes of nature, and is in full freedom to fix his mind on Krishna. So yeah, any question, comments, please?
So thank you very much, Maharaj, for a wonderful class and giving us knowledge that we should do austerity. So Maharaj, being a devotee for a few years, and then we as a practice we do a lot of things, but when some troublesome things happen in life, then the tendency goes that okay, we blame Krishna for it, saying, okay, I'm doing so much, but Krishna, why are you doing this to me? So how to come out of that thought process? What should we do so we don't blame, but we understand that it is due to our own karma and we need to face it and we need to rise above it.
Yeah, therefore we have to cultivate knowledge. Hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam every day and hearing these teachings And if there are doubts, why is Krishna doing that to me? Then ask questions to spiritually advanced persons and get rid of your doubts. But you said in the beginning that I'm and inspiring everyone to do austerities, but that's not the case. No, I'm just saying that you have to tolerate, and that toleration is our austerity. That is our austerity. Not that we have to seek to become austere on ourselves and what. No, that is our austerity. That we don't have to pray for difficulties like Queen Kunti. We have the advantage in this age of Kali that we get so many difficulties on itself. We don't have to pray for that. They come on itself. So, but we have to learn to tolerate that. So what comes? And we need that knowledge. See the bigger picture, like I said. See the bigger picture, not the moment. Why am I here? Why am I suffering? It's because my own past misdeeds. And Krishna is so kind, he gives me only a little. And I accept it. When you accept it, then your suffering is finished. Then you make spiritual progress, when you accept it. When you say it's, why does Krishna do that to me? It means you're a fool, that's all. A big fool. Not understanding the big picture. Only your limited picture of enjoyment. No. So we have to come out of that. And that's by knowledge, by hearing Bhagavatam and so on. That, yeah, that's what I could say.
Okay. Thank you very much.
I guess someone else?
Very good.
Okay, good.
Hare Krishna.
Indriyas Prabhu, Hare Krishna, accept my basis.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, Dandavat Pranam.
So much. Jai.
Maharaj, I have a question. Please, you told this control the mind on this thing, this. We saw sometimes this, we don't want this type of thing, this observing this negative thing. But we promise it, oh no, we will not see this. And immediate after it is going again their mind same place. Start to thinking this, all these things, this is what we don't want. But I don't know how we can
Yeah.
avoid this.
Yeah, that will continue to happen until our mind is purified, and that takes a long time. But if we learn to tolerate the mind and engage the mind in hearing about Krishna and in devotional service, gradually it becomes purified. But it is a slow process that our mind, that's mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita, Udrita Atmanatmanam Atmanam Avasadyat Atmevi Atmana Bandhu Atmevi Haripur Atmana. With the mind you can uplift yourself, you can degrade yourself. Bandhu Atmatmanastasya Yanatman Atmanat Chita Anatmastu Satrat Vervartet Atma Vasatruvat. Your mind, yeah, is your friend or is your enemy? It's your friend when it helps you in Krishna consciousness to remember Krishna, and it's your enemy when it does other things. So, but to help the mind to remember us, we must hear about Krishna and have spiritual experience in our life by hearing, doing puja, and so on. That Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Maharaj said, yes, that why we are, I think it came from him, that as long as we chant, we do kirtan, we hear the Bhagavatam, we engage in devotional service, then we have all good qualities. But when we speak about something else, not related to Krishna or to service of Krishna, then we develop these bad qualities. So therefore, yeah, we have to go on with determination of purifying this mind by giving our mind spiritual experience. And then later, if we have sufficiently spiritual experience, the mind will help us to think of Krishna. But that takes many years usually. But if we continue with determination, we will come to that platform. Because when we come to the point that the mind is purified or the heart is purified, we are liberated. Don't take birth again. So that's a big achievement. That doesn't happen overnight.
Okay, thank you, Maharaj. Thank
Hare
you.
Krishna.
Good advice.
Happy to hear from you. Good.
Nice.
Purnashanda Prabhu, is that okay?
Yes, Maharaj. Yeah. Thank you very much.
We're looking forward for next week.
Yes, Maharaj. Thank you so much, Maharaj. Yeah,
Hare
appreciate it.
Krishna. Jai
Hare Krishna.
Prabhupada.
Jai Prabhupada.